With those remarkable developments today, Cohen and Manafort join a growing list of people tied to Trump who are in legal trouble. 3 have already pleaded guilty to crimes. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn admitted he lied to the FBI. Rick Gates, Trump's former deputy campaign manager, pleaded guilty to conspiracy against the U.S. And George Papadopoulos, described as a low-level Trump advisor, made false statements to the FBI about his contacts with Russians during the campaign. Then there's Michael Cohen today. And Paul Manafort's case does stand out because he was found guilty. He didn't admit guilt. It's also worth pointing out there's no hard evidence that Donald Trump himself committed a crime, but the whirlwind of legal proceedings is closer to the president now than ever before. Now let's bring in Seth Waxman, a former U.S. federal prosecutor. He's in Washington tonight. So let's begin with those payments. I mean, Cohen's lawyers said if those payments were a crime for Michael Cohen, then why wouldn't they be a crime for Donald Trump? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they very well could be. Under the law in the United States, there's something called a co-conspirator, and that's what's alleged in these pleadings and court documents that were filed. Mr. Cohen obviously pleading guilty to the events and identifying candidate A, obviously Mr. Trump, and tit for tat would apply, and the president, could be also criminally liable under these circumstances.
And as I've been tracking the conversation around this outcome, I mean, you tweeted that this was a defining moment for the investigation and maybe even the country's history. Why is that?
Well, you have 2 key players in this investigation. One, Mr. Cohen, having pled guilty, and Mr. Manafort having been found guilty. And if one or both of those individuals end up cooperating with law enforcement, with Mr. Mueller and the rest of the investigation, those could be breakthrough moments for the Mueller investigation as a whole. For example, giving someone on the inside of that infamous Trump Tower meeting in June of 2016. That can be incredibly valuable evidence and could put the Mueller investigation on the doorstep to the President of the United States.
Right. So walk me through the next steps. I mean, what happens now?
Well, there's a lot of X factors here in the States right now. I mean, one of the things that's never come up is a sitting president pardoning people that have information potentially against him. If that were to occur, you'd have a whole road we'd go down of whether that could be considered obstruction of justice. But the main thing that we're going to be looking for is to see whether Mr. Cohen or Mr. Manafort end up cooperating. If that happens, like I said, that's a big moment. You'd expect that the D.C. trial against Mr. Manafort would go away, and we may or may not learn a lot about what Mr. Cohen's doing behind closed doors, but it's clearly a defining moment in this investigation.
Seth Waxman, good to get your insights. Thanks for this.
Thank you.